So, hello. I hope everybody's having a great day. So, this is 50 Pips, rocking and rolling here. A little bit of a different video today. Basically, a lot of people have asked me, I've got questions about these foundational webinar series we've got up on the blog. So basically, I thought it was about high time that I gave a little bit more of a little bit more detail on it, and also because it just appears that some people prefer to have the video content or the audio content rather than having to go through the webinar post or the actual text. So, in short, this contains 5 recorded 1 hour long webinars that as the name would suggest, serve as a foundation to both aspiring traders and more seasoned traders that are looking for a more structured approach, not only to their learning, but how to go about the business of trading or how to set themselves up, right? So the first thing that has to be clear is that even though we cover a set of foundational topics, right, from the business of trading, market dynamics, strategy development, what realistic expectations are, what to expect, etc., this is really not 5 hours and buy yourself a Maserati or all that kind of wheeling and dealing kind of stuff. This is not a specific system that you're just going to go out and trade and make millions, of course, right? So everybody knows what I feel about that, so I'm not going to waste any time talking about those things. So this is a serious webinar series for serious traders. So as a lot of people know, we strongly believe that it's really hard to learn in a static context. So there are a lot of things that you can read from, you can learn reading a book or, studying basic candle patterns or understanding what time the market opens, what a pip is, etc., the basics. But we firmly believe that when you're going on to trading, you really need to when you're putting things in practice, it's really important to learn in a dynamic context, because the market is dynamic, right? The market is not static, and also your emotions are dynamic, they're not static. So it's really important for us to understand how to adapt in an ever-changing market environment. And unless you have the right expectations to start with, it's very, very difficult, because you're just making things very, very hard for yourself, right? And that is also why, there are a lot of people that know that it's relatively easy, especially if you're somebody who's ready to put in the work. It's relatively easy to know a lot about trading, know a lot about contract specifications or the market in general. But it's very different. It's a very different person that knows a lot about trading, a lot about the technicals, etc., and somebody who actually knows how to trade or knows how to be consistent in the implementation of whatever trading strategy they want to they want to try, right? And what we come back to on and on and on again is that you have to have the right basics, right? And you have to have the right expectations, and that is going to help you in knowing what to expect, right? So what we do is, again, as we said, the aim is not in providing a specific strategy or method or definitive guide to trading, but it's trying to give you some principles that will serve, right, and set you on the right path to have this structured and unbiased approach with realistic expectations, right? So again, these 5 sessions basically cover. The first one is more about the business of trading, trading as a business, reframing your expectations in terms of what it means to be a self-directed trader, investor, and the psychology involved in that, right? The second one is more about market dynamics, market basics, so a structured approach to looking at the market and understanding positioning and context. So just giving you a very structured way of coming into the market every single day or every single week and saying, okay, I'm going to look at this in a repeatable way, and I'm always going to look at a number of set things which will immediately give me an idea of context, what the longs are thinking, what the shorts are thinking, and then I can build on that, right? The third session, the third 1 hour session is more of a roadmap to give you realistic expectations, building a plan, and tracking performance. So again, is it more realistic to look at 2% a month, 20% a month, 2% a year, 20% a year? And by the way, does it make any sense to really start talking about that if you don't understand leverage, the consequence of leverage, and what leverage can do both in the good and the bad, right? So you have to understand that a lot of people look at things the wrong way around, and you have to understand that it's important that everything is a function of a realistic expectation on whatever nominal you have, and levering that to something which you feel is reasonable or something which meets your risk profile, but especially something that is in line with your strategy, right? And then in the fourth session, we start talking about what are the practical implications of this, right? So what are the practical implications of understanding leverage positioning, right? So how you can end up blowing your account even if you have a very defined edge, but if you don't understand position size, you're going to blow it even though you have an edge in the market. What it is to try and build a track record, especially if you're thinking about trying to attract investor capital, and why the real key is slow, solid, and steady, and compounding your results in the bigger picture. And the slow approach and the conservative approach, which is only the only approach which is valid if you're trying to build a consistent and long career over time, right? And then the final session, which is the fifth session, is we go back over some guiding principles and reminders, trying to put it all together and understanding that it's not so much about having things sussed out and the rest of your trading career is going to be perfect. It's understanding that you need to have a set of basics of foundations you're going to build on. And as we said, as the market evolves, the market is not static, right? It's a dynamic thing. You yourself, hopefully you're not going to be static for your own career. You're going to evolve as a trader, and you're going to have to evolve with the market and understand that you can't be against the market. It's a losing proposition to try and fight the market. So you're going to have to understand that through the ups and downs of the market, through your ups and downs, through the different cycles of the market, you have to have a specific toolkit to be able to adapt yourself to this ever-changing environment. And that, this is not really the kind of place for a one-trick pony. You need to have a broader understanding. It doesn't mean complex, but it just means a broader understanding. So that's pretty much in a nutshell, and I think this is the importance of doing these things live. I always resisted doing these, but as throughout the years, as I've slowly started to move a lot more towards focusing and channeling my attention to the weekly webinar sessions. So again, I know that's very misleading, even though they're called weekly, they happen daily, right? So the daily sessions we have, because I think the one-to-one mentoring is important, and it helps especially with a specific kind of trader, and or also to just do specific reviews here and there. But the only way to really help somebody evolve over time is to do it in a live environment. But also what we found is that over this, even though we had sessions every single day, some people were just basically spending too much time trying to create some kind of a structure, jotting down too many things instead of letting the market do what it needs to do, sitting through different market cycles and soaking things up. So we felt it was important to do this set of foundational sessions to try and put it all together to give some kind of a starting block for everybody. So I think that's pretty much it, right? I think if anybody has any other questions, they can email them through. I'm more than happy to go through them. But I think it's really a question of understanding that it's more of a webinar series for somebody who wants to learn, who wants to build do this seriously, not somebody who's just looking for some quick wins. So it's really, do you want to put yourself in a condition to succeed, right? Do you want to, even though it might not be what you want to hear. Do you want to really understand what realistic expectations are? You know, it's not all about these micro accounts making millions, buying Ferraris, etc., right? And there's some truths that not a lot of people talk about that we've talked about. And again, if you haven't listened to or heard me ranting about these things, a lot of the content is on the blog. Just go in the interview section. You can, you know, there's a bunch of free interviews when I talk about all these things, and they mainly revolve about, you know, understanding realistic expectations and leverage. But if you want a very down to earth, no BS approach, you know, 5 sessions, so it's probably just running over 5 hours of webinars saying, you know, this is what is realistic to expect. This is how you can have a solid foundation, or at least build an initial structure of what to look for to understand context. These are the basic or the classical ways to try and take advantage of these opportunities, whether it may be through a very simple moving average setup, whether it may be through a simple support and resistance play, whether it may be looking at some fib, right? And taking that into what does it mean to, after you know that context, after you know what the kind of setups you want to use to try and take advantage of that context, what would be a reasonable way to try and apply that with reasonable expectations, with reasonable leverage to be able to fight another day, to be able to do this consistently over time. You know, this is the kind of thing which would probably be more interesting to you. But again, I'm always open to do even a live Q&A if anybody's interested, answer any questions, just shoot me an email. And again, I hope this helps. Have an awesome one, and we'll try and do a live week review, probably maybe next week or something like that. So stay tuned for that. Thanks for listening. Hope this helps. Take care, guys. Bye-bye, guys.